Humans began living in what is now Washington at least 10,000 years ago. They may have come over a land bridge that was exposed when water levels dropped during the last ice age, connecting North America to Asia. Thousands of years later, many Native American tribes, including the Yakama, Chinook, and Nez Perce, came to live on the land. Washington state has a rich history dating back thousands of years. These tribes lived off the land and waterways, hunting and fishing to support their communities. Today, you can still learn about and appreciate the culture and traditions of these tribes, as well as see the state's modern path of development. But before we get started, subscribe to our channel, give us a like and post the video on social media. Next, I'll tell you some interesting facts about Washington that you definitely didn't know. Captain George Vancouver discovered the area where Seattle is now located in 1792, and on October 10, 1805, Lewis and Clark arrived with an expedition to the state. The first permanent European settlement in the area was established by the Hudson's Bay Company in 1825 in what Vancouver is now, Washington. European settlement grew over the years, leading to conflict with Indian tribes and eventually the forced removal of many tribes to reservations. Washington officially became a state on November 11, 1889, becoming the 42nd state of the United States. Since then, the state's population has grown, and its economy has diversified with major industries including timber, mining, and fishing. These days, however, the state's economy has shifted toward technology and innovation, and major companies such as Microsoft and Amazon are headquartered in the Seattle area. Washington state has been the site of several significant events throughout history, including the 1980 eruption of the St. Helens volcano, which devastated the surrounding area and remains one of the most famous volcanic eruptions in U.S. history. The state has also been home to several famous figures, including musician Jimi Hendrix, activist and feminist leader Gloria Steinem, and billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates. Washington state is home to many cultural landmarks and attractions, including Seattle's Space Needle, which was built for the 1962 World's Fair and remains an iconic symbol of the city. Other famous attractions include Pike Place Market, Chihuly Gardens and the Museum of Glass, and the Museum of Pop Culture. The state is also known for its beautiful natural attractions, including Mount Rainier, Olympic National Park, and the San Juan Islands. Entered into the Union in 1889, America's 42nd state is known for its great coffee and even greater outdoor attractions. It is covered with dense forests and extensive farmland. Washington is also one of America's largest producers of fresh produce, rock and roll music and technological innovations. Residents of the state call themselves Washingtonians. The state capital is Olympia, and the state's largest city is Seattle. The population of Seattle is about 737,000. And the population of so-called Greater Seattle is about 7,700,000 people. In fact, about 60% of Washington residents live in the Seattle metropolitan area. Many people may know that Washington state was named after America's founding father, George Washington, and that it is the only state named after a president. But not many people know that Washington's capital city, Olympia, was named after the Olympic Mountains. The Olympic Mountains, on the other hand, were named after the legendary Mount Olympus. Cape Disappointment got its name thanks to John Mears. Explorer John Mears named a cape in southwest Washington, Cape Disappointment, a name that has persisted to this day. Whether or not Cape Disappointment can be considered disappointing depends on whether or not you like fog. The Cape area is one of the most cloudy in the state, with an average of 106 days of fog per year. Washington is America's largest producer of apples, raspberries, and cherries. As of 2019, more than 90% of U.S. red raspberries and about 3 out of every 5 apples in the U.S. were grown in Washington. The official state fruit is the apple. The state is made up of 52% forests. It is home to incredibly diverse flora and fauna. If you enjoy the great outdoors, the Grove of the Patriarchs Trail near Mount Rainier is the perfect place to see some of the oldest trees in the state. Some are over 1,000 years old and more than 7 meters tall. A local forest called the Ginkgo Petrified Forest is the largest in the world. Nowadays, it seems like Starbucks is on every corner in America. But the company started in 1971 with a single store in Seattle's Pike Place Market. It remained a local institution until the 1980s, when it was acquired by Howard Schultz's coffee company Tu Giornale. The company opened its first stores outside Washington, D.C., in 1987 in Chicago and Vancouver, Canada. Schultz remains CEO to this day. Washington has a long and rich musical history. Seattle, of course, is known for starting the grunge movement and the careers of Nirvana, Pearl Jam and Alice. Washington is home to a wide variety of musicians, including guitarist Jimi Hendrix, hip-hop legend Sir Mix-a-Lot, and singer and actor Bing Crosby. Back in Washington's Wild West days, Aberdeen was considered the toughest city in the state. It was often called the toughest town west of the Mississippi, and was known for its gambling and violence. Today, it is best known as the birthplace of Nirvana band frontman Kurt Cobain. Amazon.com, America's largest online retailer, was founded by Jeff Bezos in 1994 in a remodeled garage in Bellevue, near Seattle. His move to Seattle marked the beginning of a golden era for startups in the Pacific Northwest. Outside of Silicon Valley, Seattle has become one of the fastest-growing labor markets in America in recent years. Twice Washington has hosted the World's Fair. In 1962, Seattle hosted the Century 21 Expo, also known as the Seattle World's Fair, where the Space Needle was built for the event. Then, in 1974, Spokane hosted the world's first environmental-themed trade show, Expo 74. To this day, Spokane is the smallest city to host the World's Fair. The remains of the Kennewick Man skeleton, one of the most complete ancient human skeletons ever found, were discovered by two college students in Kennewick in 1996. Scientists believe the skeleton is about 9,000 years old. Longview has several bridges built specifically for squirrels. The first bridge, called Nutty Narrows, was built in 1963 by local builder Amos Peters to help squirrels cross a busy street. The bridge was so popular with squirrels, residents and tourists that 4 more were built in different styles. One of the most memorable and bizarre high school soccer games in Washington history took place in 1988 between the rival teams, the Colfax Bulldogs and St. John's Eagles. The game was a rematch played a half-century after the Eagles beat the Bulldogs 14-0 in the original 1938 game. The Codger Cup, as it is now called, was played by a group of former high school soccer stars in their early 60s and was organized by former Colfax resident and movie star John Crawford. In the end, the Bulldogs beat the Eagles 6-0, and a huge 20-foot-tall statue was carved to commemorate the game and its elderly players. By the way, the largest immigrant layer in the state is Germans, 18% of all immigrants. Washington is home to the highest percentage of non-believers. Accordingly, the figure of people who identify themselves as churchgoers is the lowest compared to other states. 80% of the glaciers of the United States are in Washington state. There are more than 8,000 lakes in Washington, and the available rivers can be stretched over 40,000 miles. According to the EPA and American Lung Association, Washington state has the cleanest air compared to other states in America. The highest point in Washington is Mount Rainier, aka a dormant volcano. The mountain was named after Peter Rainier, a British soldier who fought with the Americans during the Revolutionary War. Washington state is home to several well-known national parks, including Olympic National Park and Mount Rainier National Park, as well as several other protected areas. The state has a strong commitment to sustainability and environmental protection, with a number of initiatives and policies aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions and promoting renewable energy. Washington state is also known for its thriving wine industry, especially in the eastern part of the state, which has a climate and soil similar to famous wine regions in Europe. The state is home to several major universities, including the University of Washington, Washington State University, and Seattle University. Washington state is the birthplace of the electric guitar. Its inventor, Paul Tootmark, created the first commercially viable electric bass guitar in Seattle in the 1930s. The official state flag is the only state flag in the United States with a green background. The world's largest building by volume is located in Everett, Washington, and is used to manufacture Boeing airplanes. Washington state is home to the largest naval base on the West Coast, Naval Base Kitsap, located on the Kitsap Peninsula. The state has the highest percentage of residents with a bachelor's degree or higher in the United States. The famous salmon ladder at the Ballard Locks in Seattle was built in 1917 and is still in use today, allowing salmon to bypass the locks and continue upstream to spawn. The state's official song, Washington, My Home, was written by Helen Davis in 1951 and has been used as the state's official song since 1987. Guys, if you liked our video but haven't subscribed to us yet, subscribe now and post the video on social media. There will be more to come in the next episodes. See you soon. Bye.